Yes, folks. This is World Championship breaking news. I am the WC. And the guy on the screen that you see right now is Michael Sam. The reason why I'm talking about Michael Sam is because he's a player, a collegiate athlete that's going into the NFL draft, highly talented player, and he's come out and said that he's gay. Now, what I want to say on this video is a few things. And before you comment on this video, I want to make sure that you watch the entire video from beginning to end before you drop a comment, before you drop a like, before you drop anything on this video. I want you to just listen, all right, to the entire video before you comment, before you say anything, all right. Now, because this story is a very big deal because of the fact that Michael Sam is actually a pretty good player. He's going to be, projected to being drafted somewhere between the first and the third round, maybe even the fourth round. A good defensive player, and I've actually seen a couple of Missouri's games, and he's been a big factor. I think, for a matter of fact, he was probably the SEC Defensive Player of the Year, if I'm not mistaken. So this is not, a player that is not an impact player. All right, he's an impact player, and this is one of those things where you look at him and you say, yeah, this guy is going to be a difference maker on the field. And that's probably where it should stay, on the field. Now, like I said, I don't want people to get mad at this video. If you don't listen to the entire video, you're not going to understand what I'm trying to say. All right. I'm just going to say it like this. This shouldn't really be a story. This shouldn't be a breaking news story. It shouldn't get as much attention as it's probably going to get. But because of the fact that we live in a politically correct society, which people can't really disagree with certain things like this, it's going to get that kind of attention. And, if you've ever been a professional athlete, if you've ever been an amateur athlete, just by being in the locker room, you already know, before anybody even announces it or says it, you already know that there's going to be people in the locker room that you're with that just like the same sex. It doesn't necessarily need to be announced, but you just already know it. Anybody that's played sports knows that what I'm saying is a fact. Not a lie, it's a fact. All right, you don't necessarily need people to announce it. Now, with all that being said, hey, I applaud this guy for coming out, being brave enough to say that, yeah, you know, that he does like, other guys. But at the end of the day, and I've even heard this guy say it himself. Nobody's going to care about his sexual preference. All right, everybody's going to care about his play on the field, and that's where it should stay. Now, people will sit there and they'll point at me and say, "Hey, look, Brittany Griner and Jason Collins and all these other people that came out gay." At the end of the day, it doesn't matter about their personal, their sexual preference. Because fans, at least the fans that have common sense are not going to care that you go to sleep with another guy at the end of the day. Nobody cares about that. Only thing we care about is, are you professional? Do you carry yourself like a human being should carry themselves? Are you a good player? Do you have a good work ethic? All that stuff matters at the end of the day. Your sexual preference really doesn't matter at the end of the day, as much as people think it should. And the media is guilty of this. They'll sit there and they'll make it seem like this is a big, huge deal. And the people that played professional sports, to the people that played, collegiate sports or amateur sports, knows that this is not a big deal, unless they're, insecure about themselves. And like I said, this is not to make little of anybody, coming out and feeling like this is entrap them. and saying to the entire world, announcing to the entire world that they are this way. I'm not trying to take any way away from that, but this shouldn't be a breaking news story. I mean, is there going to be a big deal about everybody that comes out gay? Honestly, I'm gonna tell you like this: if that was the case, then they would have breaking news stories on almost half the NFL. All right, basically 75% of the of the WNBA. I mean, come on, man. Like at the end of the day, people don't really care about other people's personal preferences, who they go to bed at night with. People don't care as much as the media would say that they do. And this guy Michael Sam, like I said, I applaud this guy for coming out. But at the end of the day, this shouldn't really be a huge story because anybody that's played sports knows. They just know. Just ask anybody that's played sports, anybody that comments on this video when you play sports, you already know. You already know. You do. And hey, he came out and said that he told his teammates, and his teammates didn't have a problem with it because at the end of the day, it's about who you are on the field, who you are as a person, and how you hold yourself, how you represent yourself as a person. It's not about your preference of who you decide to go to sleep at night with. And it's a shame that the media makes this into such of a big deal. And the politically correctness of today's society will make this into a big deal. This guy's not going to have an ordinary NFL career. He's just not. Every time he gets released, it's going to be a big story. Every time he gets cut, it's going to be a big story. Every time he makes a sack, it's going to be a big story. Every time that he sacks a quarterback, it's going to be a big story. And and honestly, I hate to say this, but it's not necessarily gonna be a big story because of the fact that he's a talented athlete now. It's gonna be a big story because of the fact that his sexual preference is what it is. And I don't know, hey, you can't hide who you are at the end of the day. And I trust that this guy knows what he's doing, but this shouldn't be a breaking news story. It shouldn't really be. Because at this point, we all know what's there. And if this guy is brave enough to come out and say it, hey, applaud to him. Or, amen to him. You know what I'm saying? I hope he has a great NFL career. Would I welcome him to own my team? Hey, if the guy, puts up good numbers and he's a good person, hey, to me, it doesn't matter. To other people, it might matter. But, is the media going to do this for everybody that comes out gay that's a professional athlete? Are they going to put a big halo above their head and all this other stuff? Are they going to do this every single time? Because like I said, I don't plan on doing another story on this at all. Because at the end of the day, it's going to be about how well Michael Sam performs on the field. Nothing more, nothing less. His sexual preference does not matter at all. Shouldn't matter at all. But in today's society, you hear the music about to cut me off. In today's society, it matters. And it shouldn't. And going forward, people looking back a couple years later, I hope that they realize that, this this politically correctness when it comes to this just needs to be nerfed down. It needs to be cut down. And that's basically all I have to really say about it. I mean, congratulations to him coming out and saying what he had to say. But, going forward, these stories just have to be, nerfed down, man. Because at the end of the day, people are not going to care about this guy's sexual preference. We're just not going to care. It's going to come to the point where it's just normal. And by now, if you're an athlete, you already know that it's there. So to us, to people that are athletes, it's no surprise to me. No surprise whatsoever. So it's the WC. Drop a like, drop a comment. If you sat there and you watched the whole video, you'll know what I had to say. All right. I'm not PC. Let's just say it like that. I'll see y'all next time.